first group of people who joined the program. And I cannot tell you what it means to sit there and hear the story, because Ruth used to be shy and didn't say much, and she's discovered her voice in the most beautiful way. So another person who's discovered her voice is Jane Tsharane. So Jane, I wonder whether, well, yes, would you and Bob please come to the front, because we want to put you on the spot a bit. So Jane and Bob have an amazing story. So firstly, you have to just look at the picture. Now you have to stand next to each other, please, because we can't have you. And I don't know where MEC Lesufi's just gone, because he's missing this whole story. So he's a pink, white Brit, and she's and tall and big and all that, and she's this beautiful, gorgeous. Now the first time when I met the two of them, she thought, who is this whitey, and why do you want me to spend time with him, and what's the story, and why? And Jane was complete. Can you remember?
I was a bit worried.
You were what?
I was a bit worried.
Bit worried about what is he going to come do in the school and all that stuff. So the reason why I'm interviewing it, because I've been watching this, and it's been the most beautiful story. Now, many of you in the room, if you've been to a Partner of Possibility event, may have seen Bob or Jane on the street, because we kind of use him a lot. The reason why we asked Bob to be here today is there is a real possibility that Bob may be leaving the country on the 2nd of July. And this is a very sad moment. So Jane and I shouldn't think about it too much, because then we're going to cry, and that's not going to be very pretty. So we thought this is our last opportunity to have Bob and Jane with us in this way, except if someone can please give Bob a job and keep him here, because that will make me very happy. So MEC, you've missed some of the story here. But Bob is a Brit. And he's been working at SARS. First of all, a few years ago, he was kind of parachuted into South Africa to come and run a big part of Old Mutual and Nedbank and all sorts of big companies. So he's a big guy. Apart from physically big, he's kind of a big leader kind of people, one of those people. Anyway, so then he got partnered, and the two of them decided to be part of the program. But I think it's important for us to just go quickly back to how it all started right from the beginning. So Bob, in 2007, was in South Africa. Remember how we all felt in 2007? It was a very happy country, was it? Can you remember that? Kind of after Polokwane. And Bob did something quite brave and courageous for a Brit coming from the UK. So tell us what you did, Bob.
So I hate people being victims. So I asked Old Mutual and Nedbank for a bunch of money, which they gave me. And we did something called the Dinokeng scenarios, which was looking at the future of South Africa. And we got 35 good and great people from South Africa, and I was the only foreigner. We had people like Mampela Rampello and Graça Michel who were a part of it all. And I just hated the idea that people were victims and didn't feel in control. So we looked at plausible scenarios for South Africa. And the best one of all was called Walking Together, which then formed the foundation for the National Development Plan. And I just wish that the government was making more requests of society to actually increase capacity for the government, because that's what's needed.
So you'll remember, those of you who knew the Dinokeng scenarios, so firstly that was a very brave thing to do. He didn't have to do it, but he wanted to do something meaningful for the country. And it was a great gift. So on the 5th of May 2009, the Dinokeng scenarios was published. And for me that was like it was my Damascus moment. It made me realize that as a citizen of our country, to quote Louise, we have a choice. We're either going to sit around and wait and complain and moan and kind of, or we're going to do something about it. So Walk Together became my reason for being. And that has now morphed into Vision 2030, but that's another conversation for another day. So the two of them, so when I heard that Bob was the brain power behind Dinokeng and the man who made it all happen, I said, Bob, you have to be part of this. You have to close the loop. You have to see where your idea went to. Two of them started to work together. The first time I met Jane was after about an hour of Francois. Where's Francois? Francois guiding Jane into the venue, because Jane hadn't done much driving outside of Atteridgeville. Now, Jane, since that day, tell us where you've been. No, this is not the norm. No other partnership has been through this, but this is just kind of a fun story. Where have you been, Jane?
To London.
And?
Germany.
And?
Nice in France.
And you've been to the Lego country?
To
Denmark? Didn't you go to Denmark?
I've been to Denmark, yes. I've been.
Yes.
And to the South African Parliament.
Yeah, because, can we tell the Pravin Gordhan story? So anyway, but because when Bob was invited to Parliament, he had a +1 that he could take. So he took Jane to go to the +1. But there's a beautiful story. There's a beautiful story about one day when Bob had to go to a really important meeting. What happened then?
I arrived at the school and I opened my car door and I got one foot out the car and the other foot was still in the car, and my phone went off, and I worked for SARS, and it was Pravin Gordhan's office on the phone, and they said, he wants to see you. So I said, oh, I'm out of town. And they said, how far away? So I said, 2 hours, although I was in Atteridgeville, so that's not too far out of town. And so I rushed into Jane and said, I've just lied to Pravin Gordhan's office, and I can only be about an hour because I better not be late. But she went round Atteridgeville and she told everyone she was more important than Pravin Gordhan.
Then Bob and Jane kind of tries to figure out what are they going to do with their time and how they're going to spend their time. And Bob was one of the fabulous partners who made a commitment to spend time at the school every week. If he couldn't be there every week, at least every second week. So they started to co-teach. And there was what was the story about what happened in what the handbook says, that MEC Lesufi's handbook says? What does he say?
This is one of the few times I get to speak more than Jane. I'm really quite chuffed. In chapter 4 of the basic economics book, it says one of the advantages of being an informal trader is you don't pay tax. One of the disadvantages of being a formal trader is you do pay tax. So I took a scan of the page, sent it to Pravin Gordhan and said, next cabinet meeting, you might want to take it up with the Minister of Basic Education.
A few months ago, I had met with MEC Lesufi and I said, MEC, the problem with having people like Bob in the school is that you can't hide stuff from him because he's going to kind of get involved, he's going to... So then, one of the things that the two of you decided you wanted to do is you wanted to get more parents involved.
Yes.
And
when we partnered, we attended workshops together, and we were taught how to listen to each other through Nancy Klein's book, Time to Think. So when he came to my school, he was supposed to listen, and I was supposed to think.
Did it work that way, Jane?
We were struggling. I mean, for both of us, it wasn't easy to listen, but we listened. That you can see, we listened. So as we were sitting, he said to me, what are we going to do? Because when he speaks, he says, our school. That's what I like about this partnership. And he said, what are we doing? What are we supposed to do with our school? And I said, my problem number 1 is parental involvement. And we strategized. And he asked a question which never came to my mind to say, what exactly is the problem? And I spoke about the universal problems, the things that I wasn't sure of. And he said to me, they need to be researched. We need to do some research so that we can find out exactly what is your problem.
Now, it's helpful to know that Bob's wife is a market researcher at SARS.
We're disclosing now that the whole of SARS is involved at my school. So what they did is they brought a whole team of SARS marketers. The marketing people, the researchers came to the school. I must confess, I was a bit worried to say, what are they going to tell these people? Because when they came in, they said, we don't want teachers here, we don't want principal, we don't want anybody, we just want parents sitting down to answer questions. I went, oh, trouble now. So the good news is, they said to everybody, They are happy to be at school. They are happy to come to meetings. They're happy to hear my voice. They love everything that we do with the teachers. They are just happy. They are just not sure how to support us.
So then, you wanted to kind of have the parents all back to, how did you get them all back to give them the feedback?
I said to Bob, it is very difficult to invite parents in schools without an incentive. I think my supervisor is here and other principals are here. We always struggle to get 40% of parents coming to school. If you get mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, it's a bonus. So we wrote a notice to parents and we said to them, come to the school, there will be prizes for the parents that come to the school, and if you happen to drag your husband with, then you will win a prize.
And then let's get Bob to hear how. So Bob had a conversation with a mate.
So a friend of mine's a pilot, and the disincentive to come was they were going to have to listen to me. So I told them all about what my parents did for me. But the real incentive was there were 3 flights for 3 families to buzz Atteridgeville in a light aeroplane, which is what they did. One person who's sitting just over there, he did say to me that he didn't really believe in God, but after his flight he was so terrified that he did believe in God. And not only that, while he was up there, he spoke to Jesus while he was at it.
Okay, so we don't have time anymore, but there's something, so Bob is a bit naughty, so he did take this thing to the extreme, because a little while ago I heard a rumor that there was, the Orient Hotel, one of the best hotels in South Africa, 5-star. I heard a rumor that this hotel was being taken over by a group of people. I don't know who those people were. So who were they, Jane, and why did they go to the Orient, and how did this all happen?
The hotel has got only 10 rooms. I shouldn't be calling them rooms, I should be calling them suites. What we did is that we were given a challenge by Bob to say, we need to perform. And we did.
How did you perform?
What I can tell you is that my witness is here. I said, Mrs. Oma Selikani, my second manager is here, and I'm going to say it loud, she knows. We are top 10 for our district. We are on top 10. So
was that where you started? Were you top 10 when you started this program?
No, we were non-performing, Louis. So we are performing. So all these things, I'm not going to tell the story. So because we wanted to perform and we wanted to go to the Orient, we did our best. So we were voting. We had to choose best performing, most improve, and most helpful, because we wanted to accommodate also our non-teaching staff. So 12 people were taken to the Orient. I wasn't part of the competition, but being the principal, of course, I had to go. So we went and we took over the hotel for an evening, 18-course meal, sleeping in those suits because we performed.
So last but not least, just the last word from each of you. Why do you think other people should get involved?
So from a business point of view, it's a little bit what Louise said. There's a phrase I like, which is the art of diplomacy is letting other people have your way. And so I've got no power. I've only got influence over Jane. Well, I haven't got really that much influence. But as we actually talk through things, we debate them. And so my powers of diplomacy are improved. Jane will confirm, otherwise I'll hit her, that my listening has improved. And I've been faced with a set of problems which, despite working for 42 years, have been different to anything else I've ever faced. And therefore I have to use imagination and use other people and work together, which has been brilliant. And the last thing, which isn't really a good business reason, is the Bible says the more you give, the more you get. And this is, I've never known anything like it. I only did it to put something back, and I got far more out of it than I ever put into it.
There's a room full of principals whom I said they must come and witness, not just from me, but from other principals. What I'm happy about is that if you have a partner, you have a sounding board. Being a principal is a lonely job. You have all the frustrations, the challenge. I'm trusted with 924 children by this government. So all my frustration, he listens. And my school, my dream is to make it a Bacon school. And I'm scared now your invites, Mr. Lisufi, are escalating. I don't want to talk about my school, and I didn't show pictures. I just want you to just come. Don't make an appointment. Just come. And it's happening, and every day we feel celebrated because we run like corporate. When people come to my school, they normally pass me and look for the principal. And they meet me again in the office. We make things happen. And they're still going to happen, and watch.
So, just the last point is that this lady is sparkling. Do you agree? She's sparkling. When I first met her, she was shy, retired, didn't open her mouth. And we love how you have found your voice. Thank you very much, both of you.
Everyone. My name is Kokotso Mariri. I'm grade 5 learner from Sefako Mapogo Magato Primary School. Today I'm here to recite a poem about thank you. Thank you. You are one of the special people who always tries to give and give. Who makes this world a better place just by the way you live. You also care for others. You do the best, the very best. If someone is in need of help, you are there to lend a hand. You never ask for anything or want something in return. You do the best, the very best. If someone is in need of help, you are there to lend a hand. Thank you.
So, Koketso, thank you. Because we were trying to figure out, how do you say thank you? To someone who, I'm going to try and just speak despite my tears. The last 4 years have been tough. And when it gets really tough, I have one place I go, and that's to Bob. And we're going to miss you.